Alright guys, so Buddy Llama here. What I decided to do while we're waiting for servers to kind of get up to par, I know High Res is doing everything they can for Rogue Company and stuff to get them up. Working with Founders Pack, and it's like the first week and the first weekend of the game. So figured I'd be a little proactive and just give some insight, my own personal opinions on some of the rogues. I'd spoiled and have access to. By the way, there's that weird thing where glitch likes to get selected as well with everything else. Not sure what's going on with that. Anyways, just give my thoughts on each one. This is my favorite so far. V, not Trench, V. And we'll go from there. Let's start with Anvil. I don't know how long it's going to take me because I'm kind of wordy. But actually, let me see if they... He's got a shield, but I think he's identified as defense, which is very obvious. He's very tank. Anvil, let's see. It's one of the first rogues. Anvil's a career soldier who's tough as nails. First impression gives me that Bangalore type vibe from Apex, right? Which makes sense. I get it. You'll see it. You'll see it once you start looking into the different rogues and stuff. It's got a barricade ability. Deploys a barricade. It's pretty big too. It's not. Think of like Destiny 2 Titan tall barricade kind of thing, and it's kind of cool because it almost blends in with the surroundings. It's got the same color scheme for the most part. Deploy barricade that blocks damage and movement, which is key. Why? You can kind of place it anywhere. You can block off a choke point, stuff like that. I think is pretty good. His passive is immunity to EMPs, disorient, slow, and blind effect, which is all great for a tank. Obviously, something definitely you want to have. Two primaries I got listed for is the arbitrator. Pretty solid shotgun in my opinion so far, and I'm not a shotgun guy on games. MLK Maul obviously is what I would be biased with. Good solid rounds down. But if you look at the range on the shotgun, 6.5 is pretty good. You can handle adequate damage mid-range, I think, from what I was using. You have a store, right? When you start a match, you have a store up on the D-pad for me at least, and you start off with some coin. You usually have a chance to, depending on what game mode, you either have enough to, you have like 12k, I think, enough to get a primary, or to kind of get a couple things. On the other game mode, which I want to say is demolition, don't quote me on it because I can't remember at the moment. You have enough for a couple things, but not a primary. So I'd save for a primary personally, unless you want to go ballsy and just go sidearm. So, arbitrator. At the bottom, you can see the tiers. So every time you purchase a tier, right? Two-hand shotgun increases reload speed. It wasn't necessary for me unless you're flanking with a tank, as I've been kind of catching myself saying it quite a bit. Yeah, go for it. But tier 2 I think is really, really worth it. Rectical bloom. I can't tell you what that is right now. I can kind of imagine, but I think it kind of disorients you. You have the little reticle that kind of helps aim hipfire. So I think that kind of just disorients that a little bit. So that might help increase damage range. So if you're just primary, like I like maxing out primaries usually. So it's a solid shotgun. Definitely you can play a little mid range if you have to, and push up. So mid range pumps, and then push up with the execution or something. This is kind of all around. It's got a solid range, 18. I usually go with that, and I try to get at least a tier for the mag size. But if you bump it up again, the range, pretty solid. Depends on the map, though. Definitely, reload time is kind of a struggle, but it depends on the map. Handling, again, if your team is just monster, right? You're just monster and you're feeling yourself and you have the dough, I mean, go for it. But if you're kind of neck and neck or whatever, struggling, I would I would probably leave it here. Tier one is totally fine. 60 round mag is pretty solid so far, from what I've seen, and playing him. Executioner, Desert Eagle type, hand cannon type thing, right? Is it? It is what it is. Semi-automatic, so don't get caught. Test it out when you're first playing. Let's see what you're doing. For the game modes that start you off with a sidearm and you've got a little dough, I'd say jump it up. It's always good to have more rounds when you first start if you don't have a primary. I think that's worth it. Unless you're one of those that goes in hard and you want to get the melee because you usually don't have a melee, so you want to get that going. That's fine, I think. Again, this is just my speculation and my opinion so far playing the first week. I just don't. I can't tell you on the melees. I usually don't even get it. Some people are really good with it. Lunge distance, that's pretty wild. Think like D2 Warlocks kind of thing. They can catch you on it. So it just depends on what you're doing with the tank. C4, right? It is what it is. I haven't been really good with C4 since like Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, so I can't tell you. It's got its purposes, and you can kind of booby trap some weak points or some avenues of approach and stuff like that. Increased throw again kind of depends on the play. So if you got people that are kind of rushing in, but they've got some range, it depends. If your team pushes them out a little bit and they're kind of funneling through that same area, then move up and drop one of those down. We'll see. I wouldn't. It's just my play style. I wouldn't touch it. I don't. If I'm using tank, right? If I'm using Anvil to be a tank and just hold a point, or kind of pinch a place that like all matches, it's usually B, right? Active protection system, I think I've noticed it's underrated to me in other games, and I don't play it enough. I was playing Call of Duty earlier, Warzone, and they have obviously the same thing, and I didn't realize how super aggressive that thing is when you're holding a point. So if it acts the same way, then I would say go for it. I focus most of my stuff on primaries, depending on your play style. Remember that reload time right there? That you got 2.4. Actually, let me see. It drops down, so obviously that's pretty solid right there too. I can understand that. At best 1.8. So I mean, if you're moving around playing, go for it. But reload time doesn't really move on the mall. That is just suppressive fire kind of stuff, really being a support for your team. But I would, to give you an idea, I ran, first few times I ran arbitrator. I would try to max it out or at least get to tier 2. And then I would get perks. I get this mainly for dealing more or carrying more ammo, but dealing damage usually works out if the other team has an anvil or something else that usually is going to get in your way with that drop shield. Reload while sprinting is, I think everybody loves that. I would think most people would get with that first. If you just had to go bare bones, sidearm, primary, whatever else, go with that. Revive teammates faster, again, depends on after your first bout, right? You get a feel for your team and the other team unless you're playing with friends. That could be something that in a pinch changes the tide on some stuff. I think it's good. Take reduced damage from explosives depending on who they have. It just does. There's some people who run it like me. I like using explosives and stuff, like chucking shit at people. And then this is probably my first perk that I usually get. Additional armor. I mean, why not? This one, I don't use it too often. I'll get it usually towards the end of the game if we're doing well, whatever else. I can't say I pay attention to if I do that, if I down somebody. I will, however, I'll have to tell you later on a different rogue. that's my thought on Anvil. 10 minutes, that's pretty solid right there. Again, this I think is it's pretty good. Increases gadget count by 1. That's cool because I think you get 2, which is pretty nice. I think it's pretty solid. Baseball bat's a baseball bat. But yeah, that's what he's got. And his barricade is it's pretty solid. You can use him however. I don't have any customization or anything else right now, but that's him, and I got that. I haven't used him too often, but let's see if I could show you guys how long I played. Yeah, I start off. So I played him a little bit. Obviously, I have favorites right now, V and Phantom, and I haven't got to play all of them yet. So I'll give you my opinions on some of the other ones, just as how I played against them, kind of thing. So that's Anvil right there. All right, I'm gonna end this. I'm coming back in. I'm gonna do the next one, which is Check. I call him Check. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but we'll go from there. All right, I'll be back.